Hi, I'm Molly Matthews. Welcome back to Job IQ, Career Outside the Box. Today we're talking to physician Hugh Hill. Hi, Hugh.
Hi, Molly.
Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
We want to know about your career path. Tell us, I know you're a physician, tell us what you started, what you trained for, and what you've done professionally for most of your life.
Had a bit of an odd path. Went to medical school in the 70s. And then took on the notion of maybe trying to do healthcare in a larger sphere. And so I went to law school. Graduated from the University of Virginia in 1979. And for the rest of my career, I have mostly done emergency medicine. My undergraduate major was in theater and pre-med, and I was able to dabble a little bit here and there with the schedule of an emergency physician allowing you to have some more control about when you're available and that sort of thing. And wound up as a faculty member at Johns Hopkins University in the Department of Emergency Medicine, teaching and working with residents and students in the emergency department.
And you did that, and somewhere along the way you were also doing some acting.
Yes.
Was there a point where you decided that if the focus of your career had been medicine, it was going to be a little less medicine and a little more acting?
Not really a little more acting. I'll tell you that I conceived of the notion of trying to back off clinically. It's very hard to do that when you're a physician and you love the practice and you love taking care of people so much. But I wanted to cut back on my hours and still stay in the game as much as I could for as long as I could. So I went to part-time work at Hopkins, where I retained the position and didn't really have a plan. I had all this time opening up, and I had a lot of things I was interested in doing. And a colleague, who is a man of a more religious bent, said, "Why don't you just be still?" He said, just be still for a little while and see what happens, see what comes along. So I said, okay. And I didn't plan anything for 6 months after I semi-retired. And to my delight, a lot of theatrical opportunities came my way. People wanted me to audition, to read, to direct, to perform. And I started saying yes, and it's blossomed into a lot of work. Almost all of it amateur. Last summer I had a paying gig, but it's been a great source of delight.
I was just going to ask you, what's that like for you, and how does it, do you have to get in a different headspace when you're are you in your right or your left brain, or is it all integrated? How is that, how are you experiencing when you go into acting?
I'm not exactly sure how to answer that. When you're acting, you are trying to be the character, right? My initial training when I was a child, my first theatrical opportunity was at age 7. We were taught to act, to let the gesture fit the word and the word fit the gesture, as Shakespeare says. And then the method, Stanislavski's method, came along, and actors were being trained to try to be the character, to try to inhabit. And it is part of the fun of it is about the only legal way that you can be somebody else temporarily. Yeah. So what I'm doing when I'm acting is I'm trying to be that character. I just a few days ago finished a performance as Martin Luther in a new play by Jim Reston Jr. called Luther's Trumpet. And with a historical character like that, it's pretty easy to read and research and try to let the words come off the page and have them go through Luther, not Hugh Hill.
Well, I know you're very good. I saw you covered in blood as Julius Caesar. And I'm still not over it. It was a very unsettling experience. But how would you characterize, I mean, you've loved everything you've done. Is there a difference now? Are you experiencing more freedom, more joy? Is there something different about this, or have you always approached, when you were in medicine or when you're still on, have you always approached medicine and acting with a similar, is it a different experience, I guess is what I'm asking you?
Well, medicine is a slightly different experience, interestingly. I've always enjoyed the practice of medicine. It's always been a thrill to be able to take care of people and to have people trust you to take care of them, sometimes on their worst days of their lives, and sometimes on their last days of their lives. But now I work with sufficient infrequency that I'm terribly excited about the opportunity to go work a shift. And I am perhaps too joyful. I have to keep a lid on it a little bit so that people know that I'm still serious about taking care of them.
I understand. Because you've been doing the acting since you were 7, there was not a moment where you had to do more training to move into this. But have you spent more time training now that you were doing more acting, or is it just something you've been doing so long you don't need the training?
Ideally, you always need training. You talk to professional actors, and they'll tell you that what they try to do is they try to always be taking classes or working with a coach at the same time that they're working, always trying to hone their craft. But I haven't been able to do that. I've been trying to arrange my schedule to do that, but I have been so busy with the various theatrical projects that I haven't been able to take another class, which I'd really like to do.
You didn't really retire. You cut back your hours. You're acting now. Have you faced any obstacles in doing this transition? Was it challenging? Did you have an identity crisis? Or do you walk into the ER now and realize someone else is in charge? Are any of those things difficult for you, or have you experienced any of that?
No. Both emergency medicine and theater are team efforts. So the individuality is subsumed. Even when someone is the star of a show, right? They've got to be attentive to everything else going on and integrated within the process. So too in the emergency room. In emergency medicine, we pioneered a team approach to healthcare delivery back in the 70s.
Right.
The hierarchical nature of the relationship between physicians and nurses and aides and techs and so forth, those barriers were broken down first in my specialty, I'm proud to say. The reason being, we take a lot better care of people when we work together as a team. So
transitioning, maybe developing team abilities and skill sets to work as a team makes it easier to transition into whatever you're going to do after 50.
Your question makes me realize, yes, I think so. Your question makes me realize that there are parts of my life that I wouldn't have brought to mind, but they relate to this rediscovered passion for the theater. And it's not obvious, but when you ask, well, what is it about emergency medicine, perhaps, that you like so much? And part of what I like so much is the team nature of it, the collective effort, the commitment that everybody has to what we're doing. That's a lot like theater.
Like a cast in a show.
Oddly enough, yes.
That's very interesting. A little direction, a little shift, but do you think people over 50 experience discrimination in the workplace?
Absolutely. When I went to law school, one of the papers that I wrote for the University Professor of Law and Medicine was about the then new age discrimination law. And it's clear and apparent. I think one of the more obvious examples that people know about is that companies want to get a more expensive worker out and replace him or her with somebody less expensive. So right there, you're moving people out. I understand that they're even worse about that in England than in the United States. So I've been told. And then, of course, if an employer wants to offer health insurance, somebody that's older is going to be drawing on the insurance more than someone who's younger. So that's another incentive. And there are lots of businesses where collected wisdom or experiential backgrounds that might make somebody stronger in a job, they don't matter.
Yeah, especially now in the tech world. Do you have good tech skills?
No. I am my wife's tech backup, but that's about as far as it goes. Whenever we have a real problem, we call on somebody in their 20s.
And what would you tell someone if they are in a position, as you were, where you're looking, I'm going to cut back a little bit in what I've been doing professionally. I really enjoy acting. This is something I've always wanted to do more of, and you took the leap and did more of it. What would you tell someone who's contemplating that?
contemplating leaping into the theater?
Yeah.
Well, like so many things, you can dabble at it. You can stick your toe in it. Molly, I've been trying to get you to audition for a number of years.
I want to.
And we'll get you there.
Exactly.
One way or the other. And just have the experience and see whether you enjoy it or not. So you can try things. That's one of the blessings of age, and the fact that you don't have to do this next activity for income.
Exactly.
So the fact that I can do a lot of this work for free, of course, that gives me a lot more opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. Going back to, obviously, this is a meaningful stage in your life, what you're doing now. Best day and worst day in what you're doing now.
In what I'm doing now?
Yeah, because you're juggling two things, right? That you're passionate about both of them. What's good about it? What are the days that you get up and you go, "This is fantastic," and what's a not good day?
It's a lot easier to answer the first part of that. I had the closing speech in this last show. I had the stage all to myself. Fantastic words written by the author. And I just had the audience in the palm of my hand. Worst day theatrically is when you run into somebody that, boy, if I'd known I was going to be working with this person and he or she had this personality, I wouldn't have taken on this project. And then I still occasionally have bad days in the ER. I thought after 47 years of doing this, I would be hardened, right? But I'm not. And the pain and the suffering and the grief of people it still affects you, and occasionally we lose. Yeah. We joke about you're not allowed to die in my emergency room, but sometimes that happens, and that can be really hard.
It's probably what makes you a good physician if it got to the point where it didn't matter anymore.
Well, I don't know, but I do know that I'm glad that I'm that way.
Yeah.
And I think it models behavior for the residents and for the students that I would like to model for them.
I wouldn't want a doctor who didn't feel that way. So.
And as I think about it, sometimes the theatrical training and experience really does help. I had a particularly difficult situation some months ago, and a man who had in the 90s been one of my residents and is now one of my most trusted, valued, beloved colleagues pulled me aside and said, "You can't let them see you feeling this way. You remember what you told me?" And I said, "Yeah, you're right." So I sucked it up and went back out there and was positive about the rest of the day and hoped that my insides would catch up with my outsides.
Yeah, I understand.
And so maybe the theater helps with that.
Yeah. It's also great that someone that you taught was able to come back and teach you. That's a very nice thing.
That's a best day moment, even on a bad day. That's a best thing.
It's the best moment, and it's a good thing about being over 50 too, because you get more opportunities to have that happen, right?
Well, and the other thing about it is I'm involved with people of varied ages. Doing the theater, it's like the emergency department, in that I've got a range of people from all kinds of backgrounds and social strata and age and interest themselves.
Multi-generational learning and diversity is one of the great things in life, isn't it? Just to be with people that are not all like you. You learn so much.
Yes, it is challenging. Yeah. It is challenging, and I think that's one of the challenges that we face in America. But you don't have to really get way past your comfort zone if you're selective. You can sort of expand a little bit. It's not like you're going to have to suddenly hurl yourself in with people that are so different from you that you're going to be constantly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to go that far, you can.
Right. But you get your toes wet a little bit going into it.
I think the phased sort of stepwise opportunities that we have to expand as we age is those opportunities, doing it gradually, gradualism, has got to be one of the blessings of it.
People are saying similar things. You're the first person who has said that, and I think it's an important point. I'll make sure to underline it, because I think you're right. Is you don't have to take as big risks, and you can do it in a slower manner, in a stepwise way. So I'm going to add that.
Not to say you can't
Right.
take big risk.
Exactly.
I mean, if you want to take a flyer, you can go for
Exactly.
it. Right.
Exactly. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like to tell people?
As a physician, and seeing people in the emergency room for so many years, and also being of an age myself where we have friends and age peers and we see what's happening to them, I think the staying active part is a sine qua non for healthy aging.
Just get out there.
Do something.
Yeah.
And, even if the first thing you try, you find you don't like it, there's an infinity of other things that you can try. And I don't know, is it fear that if I stop, I'm going to fall over? I don't think so. But I do understand the importance of continuing to be active as long as possible.
And I like the balance between that and also using it as a time, as you said earlier, when you were making the transition to being still. And so it's nice to have both of that, those opportunities at this point in life. Thank you.
Thank you
for being with us.
All right.
Thanks for watching. This is Job IQ, Career Outside the Box. If you'd like to subscribe, you can do so below, and check out our website for more interviews. Bye-bye.